Hey everybody, I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be putting together my June planner pages using these fresh berry stickers from Hubman and Chubgirl with strawberries and blueberries. I'm going to be using various markers and writing implements as well. I'm starting here with the first week of June. I did make templates for my main elements so I wouldn't have to fiddle around with the proportions. I don't make cover pages for my months because I like to have all 7 days of the week on the same spread, even if that week is split between 2 separate months. So there generally isn't space for a cover page. This month just happens to start on a Sunday, and I start my weeklies on Sundays. I also use one notebook for the entire year, so I feel like I have to conserve pages a little bit. I also don't make monthly spreads because I don't use them. I'm using pencil to sketch out the basic elements inspired by the sticker sheet from Hubman and Chubgirl. So I'm drawing berry baskets as well as giant strawberries and giant blueberries. Each of my weekly spreads will have 8 of these elements, one for each day of the week and one for notes. My June header will go in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm using a thick bubble font. Now that my pencil sketch is done, I'm using a 1mm black Pigma micron to trace over my pencil lines. I thought that berries would be the perfect theme for June because it gives off a very beginning of summer vibe. With all the outlining done, I'm going to erase all my pencil lines and clean up all my eraser dust. I'm using a pink zebra mild liner to color in my June header. I'll use the same pink to make an outline around each giant strawberry and to color in the smaller strawberries in the baskets. I'm using a light green Crayola Super Tip to color in all of the leaves, to outline each berry basket, and to color in the strawberry tops. I tried to find markers in my collection that coordinated well with the original colors in the sticker sheet. The blueberries on the sticker sheet are a fairly dark blue, so I chose a fairly dark blue Tombow Mono dual brush pen to color in the blueberries and to outline the giant blueberries. I decided to outline the daily boxes instead of coloring them in completely because this blue color is so dark. If I colored in the whole blueberry, that box would be difficult to use. I'm using a white Posca paint pen. I think it's a 0.7 to draw in the seeds and the little, I call it the blueberry belly button. I don't know what it's actually called. I took inspiration from the background of the sticker sheet, which has a light green plaid pattern. So I'm going to be using 2 different pale green mild liners to create a plaid background around all of my elements. I'm starting with the chisel tip end of my lighter green mild liner and making horizontal lines 3 dot grid spaces apart, and then I will do the same thing vertically. I didn't want the plaid background to have a sharp edge, so I am varying the lengths of these lines so that they make a more organic shape around the elements. I'm also making sure not to draw my lines through the elements because the plaid needs to look like it's in the background. Now I'm using the bullet tip end of the slightly darker green mild liner to draw lines just offset from my original lines. So I'm drawing these lines 1 space to the right of my original lines, and then my horizontal lines are just 1 dot grid space below my original horizontal lines. I do love a plaid background. I think it's fairly easy to do and makes a big impact. This little sheet of stickers has the days of the week printed on it, just the first 3 letters of each day of the week. It actually came from a pack of birth control. They were intended to be stuck on the top of a little blister pack of birth control pills, but I saved them to use just for this purpose. The stickers come in long strips, so I had to use my X-Acto knife to cut them apart before sticking them in place. I have this little sheet of numbers printed on little clouds, also from Hubman and Chubgirl. These are from the Love is in the Air collection, but I think they do fit well with this theme as well. The last 2 days of June are sitting very lonely on a spread all by themselves. Eventually, the first 5 days of July will be added to that spread. The final step in decorating these weekly pages is to actually take my fresh berry stickers from Hubman and Chubgirl and kind of sprinkle them throughout all of these spreads. You'll notice that I do have a lot of empty space on my weekly spreads. I call that my flex space. I generally use that area for memory keeping and journaling, but it really could be for anything. If I have a new habit I want to start tracking, I could always put a habit tracker in there. By the end of the month, all of these spreads are going to look a lot fuller and filled in. With my weekly spreads done, now I can flip to the front of my journal where I have set aside 2 spreads for May for my health tracker. I start by using my X-Acto knife to cut the edge of the middle page off to create a Dutch door. Then I round off the corners with my corner punch. I'm going to draw in the header along the right hand edge in the same bubbly font that I used in my weekly spreads. I don't do a lot of decorating in my health tracker spreads. These spreads are mostly functional for me, but I do like them to coordinate with the weekly spreads that I make, so I will use similar fonts and colors. So here I am coloring in my header with the same pink mild liner that I used in the weekly spreads. On the left side, I'm using a blue Papermate flare to write in the numbers of the days of June and then the first letter of each day of June as well. separating that column using a pink Papermate flare. Along the top, I'm going to use a light green Papermate flare to create the brackets where I will write in the things that I will be tracking for June. I'm drawing each of these little lines about 1.5 dot grid spaces long. That creates columns that are 2 dot grid spaces wide, except for the last column, which is 3 dot grid spaces wide, because I want a wider column there to record the temperature range for each day. I draw my lines at an angle so I have a little bit more space to write. Now I'm separating each week using the pink Papermate flare. On the next page, I'm going to create 2 columns. The second column will have 3 sections, and the last page is for notes. The first column is where I log my exercise and activity. The second column is where I log my morning, midday, and late meds that I take every day. And I'll draw a line between Saturday and Sunday on my exercise log as well. And with that finished, we are ready to start our flip through. I'll start with the weekly spreads first. So I use the Hubman and Chubgirl Fresh Berries stickers as my inspiration. I do like to use the same layout for all of my weekly spreads for the month. I think it just, it's easier for my brain that way. But I did shuffle around the elements from week to week. And this last weekly spread will eventually include the beginning of July as well. Flipping forward to the health tracker section of the journal, we'll take a look at my June health tracker spread. The first 2 pages where I can track my symptoms and the times I take my medications. I do have a more in-depth video on my channel explaining how I use my health tracker spreads if you're interested. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you next time.